Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brennan Plays. WWE 2k22 is here. General Manager mode is finally back. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. I'm so excited to play GM mode. It's been a long time. Now, the first thing we've got to do is pick out GM. So let's take a look at the perks that every GM has assigned to them. So Adam Pearce has the Instigator perk. So these are perks that you can use on a show. You basically get one of them, you can use it once. They're not a huge deal, but it's always nice to have. He gets the perk where he can increase the rivalries of all active rivalries by 1. So he can increase the level, he can make it a little bit better. You know, people want to be more interested in it. Sonya Deville, she can raise the entire roster's morale by 15. That's a pretty good one if your roster's on the lower side. William Regal, the first legend you sign this week will be free. So you can sign a legend, it's free for that week. And Shane McMahon, a GM interference book this week will provide an additional +2 show bonus and be free to book. So that's okay. I don't feel like that's something I'm going to be too concerned about. I like this one though. Earn twice as much money from arena attendance this week. So that could be a way to get a few extra dollars in the bank account. But for me, I'm going to go with Adam Pearce. We're going to increase the rivalries by 1. So we'll go with that. Now, I always, as I said earlier, I love Smackdown vs. Raw. I've always liked GM mode and that part of it. And for me, it's got to be Smackdown. I've always picked Smackdown. It's always been the show I picked. But each brand has their own different perk as well. For Smackdown, 6 random superstars in your roster can have their popularity increased by 6. I feel like that's a game changer. That is massive. Raw, 3 randomly selected superstars on the opposing brand, they can't be booked in a match next week. That's okay. You know, that's a way to kind of stop the progress of a show and maybe beat them in the ratings for that 1 week. But this one will increase their popularity for +6. That's going to help long term. So I think SmackDown's got the better perk anyways. We're going to go with that. So we're going to have Stephanie McMahon as our opponent. I feel like she will be tough to beat. We'll put the AI in the hardest difficulty. We'll play it for 25 weeks. And we have a custom draft pool. So basically for our draft pool, I'll show you. So we've got all the legends available for the most part. If they're still with us, we've made them available. Some legends have different variations. For example, we've got Hollywood Hulk Hogan instead of the regular Hulk Hogan. So that's what we've done with that. So we're going to make legends available, and I feel like that's just going to make it more fun. So we will go ahead and do that. But I've gone ahead and changed all the popularities for everybody. So we've kind of tried to separate legends from current main event roster talent. We've tried to really make it a bit more realistic for people. So for example, Roman Reigns, he's got 67 popularity. You know, that's much higher. You know, than for example, Seth Rollins, who might have low 60s, for example. So he's much more popular. But we've tried to kind of, you know, make it a little more realistic. Now, if they're still, you know, in the game, but they're no longer in WWE, which is pretty much half the roster, we've pretty much ruled them out. We've taken away a lot of their popularity. So if you go down here, you got, you know, Grand Metalik's got 35, you know, Billy Kay, Peyton Royce, 38, Kyle O'Reilly, Karrion Kross, 40. So a lot of guys that, you know, have got a bit of name value but are no longer in WWE. We've given them a little bit extra, but for the most part, we've stripped away a majority of their popularities to very, very small, just to try and make it more realistic. So they're still available. We can still use them, but they don't have as much value, so they're not going to be a bigger star for us. So that way, the vocal point of the series will still be on the current talent. There's just so many wrestlers in this game that are no longer in WWE. If we didn't have them in the game, in our series here, we'd have no one to use. So we've got a lot of local wrestlers as well. I feel like this is a nice addition, so a lot of just random guys that we can pick from. I've really lowered their popularity as well, so you know, I've got a mixture. Some have got a little bit more than others, but we've got a nice little mix there. So they've got some value, but for the most part, they're not going to be overly great to use. You never know. You can sign one long term and try and really push one. I feel like that might be one of the goals we do this series, is pick out one of these local talents and try and make them a star. I feel like that'd be a nice little challenge. But yeah, so they don't have a lot of value to begin with. And there's some guys that you can use to just try and, you know, fill out your roster a little bit more. So here's the rules of the draft. Each GM will start with a budget of $2.75 million. Seems like a lot, but it's really not. It goes away pretty quickly. GMs will take turns drafting one after another. We get the first pick, which is always nice. I would have liked it probably to be random, but whatever. There will be 8 rounds of drafting. After the 8th round, drafting becomes optional. GMs can opt out of the draft until they are out of cash. Trust me, you want to just draft as much as you can, I feel, otherwise you're going to miss out. So let's go ahead and begin. Now, one thing you'll notice is that not every wrestler I showed just before is available on this list. Only a select few are available. The others become more available as free agents along the way, so you can't get everybody from the get-go, which is an interesting concept. So we have the first pick in the draft. Now, one of the things I've really noticed is that the AI doesn't really pick their roster very well, so we'll see how they go. But the first pick, I feel like you've got to pick the most popular option, the biggest star available, and that is Brock Lesnar. Now, $290,000, it's a steep price to pay, but our first pick will be Brock. Raw, their first pick will be Randy Orton. That's a pretty good pick. He was the next best option on the list there. Up next for us, so we need someone that Brock can feud with, some other top star, and I think a Drew McIntyre would be a good matchup there. So that's a nice mix. They're going to go and pick Big E next, so that's a bit interesting one. Big E only has 56 popularity. We dropped him down a little bit, so that's an interesting call. Now let's secure the best woman that we can get. We've got to pick between either Charlotte and Becky. I've always been a Becky fan, so I'm going to go with her as my first pick out of the women, and they're going to pick Charlotte, so that makes sense. Next up, so more of the lower tier main eventers or potentially up mid-carders, or we could make a bit of a different pick and pick someone a little bit cheaper. We have to keep an eye on our money, of course. So for me, I'm going to secure the services of Rey Mysterio. I feel like a legend and a star there, that will certainly help our roster. They're going to pick Bianca Belair, so that's probably one of the better women that are available. The next best is Bayley, so we need to make sure we've got somebody for Becky to feud with. So Bayley and Becky, I don't mind that. That should be a pretty decent rivalry. Now, this is where it gets interesting. They pick Candice LeRae. That's why I kind of say, well, does the AI do a great job? Because they're picking Candice LeRae when there's so many other better people on the board. But you never know, it could be a master stroke. Now for me, I'm going to steer clear of the legends. So we have Nash and Hall, which would be great to have, but I feel like we'll steer clear of them for now. We'll try and get a legend later on. The next best guy is obviously Kevin Owens. $226,000. Is he worth the money? 57 pop. You'd have to probably say yes, but we might explore our other options. We can get someone like Sami Zayn, who has a lot of talent, a lot of potential. Tommaso Ciampa as well. Someone a little bit cheaper that we could really push to the top. So that's an option for us, and I feel like we might do that. Let's go with something different. Let's go with Tommaso Ciampa. So let's go with someone a bit cheaper that has a lot of star power about them. They're going to get Kevin Owens, so we will miss out there. But I just feel like our money situation is pretty grim anyways. And as I said before, Sami Zayn might be a good pickup. We might look at the women first. Who's the best option here? Well, we got Rhea Ripley. She's an Australian. I've got to select her, so she's our next best woman. So we've got 3 strong women. Trent Seven. That's where, as I said, it gets a little bit different. They pick some out there guys. Still got plenty of money to play with, so we shouldn't be too concerned with our money. Someone like Elias, I really like Elias, so we might try and select him in a couple of rounds as a cheaper potential star for us. Out of this crew at the moment, well, I feel like we have to select Kofi Kingston. He's been a champion before. Get him some revenge over that Brock Lesnar loss. Now they've selected Kevin Nash, so they've gone with the big guns there, and that's fine. I'm going to steer clear of Kevin Nash for now, and I'm going to get Sami Zayn as my next pick. We've still got a bit of money. Raw, they picked Jordan Devlin, so they are picking some cheaper guys. They've got a lot more money than us right now. So we need to probably select another woman. Let's go with a more of a cheaper option here, just to conserve a bit of money. We'll go with Mandy Rose. So that gives us, at the moment, just 4 women and 6 male wrestlers. So that's okay. We might try and select another male, and we might as well get him in. So we said Elias earlier on. Let's bring him in to try and just get some more guys in our roster. We need to conserve a bit of money. 583,000 left. It gets a bit tricky here. We've got 7 males, 4 women. I feel like we probably only need 1 or 2 more women. For the males, though, Well, we definitely need quite a few more, so we can try and select a couple of cheaper options here. Now, I'll try and steer clear of the guys that aren't in WWE at the moment. So I might select a Tyler Bate. I feel like he's a guy who could have a good match on the bottom of the card. They've selected Tony Storm, so they've gone very cheap with that selection, just 49,000 there. So we might select maybe our last woman wrestler here. Not sure who to go with. Except 476,000. Do we go and break the bank and try and pick up a bigger name now that we've already selected Mandy Rose? I don't know. I think we might. Go a little bit cheaper. Let's pick up a. Let's go Liv Morgan. Well, 130,000. That's still pretty high. We could pick up a Shotzi for 99,000. I feel like that's not a bad selection. It gives us a bit more money. They've gone a bit expensive. They've gone Shayna, so they don't have that much more money than us now. We've got 377,000, so we could probably make 3 more selections. We've got 8 males, 5 women. If we go really cheap, then we could probably pick up a few more, but there isn't, the cheapest guy is around 80,000, so I don't know. Do we really want T-Bar and Mace? Probably not, but look, let's pick up the legend. Let's pick up R-Truth. Always can trust R-Truth to put on a good segment. They've gone Nikki Ash, ASH, whatever it is. So 269,000. We probably should steer clear of anyone with any name value, unless we want to go with one last solid pick. Do we maybe go with Sheamus and really just spend the rest of our money? I don't think that's the way to go. I just think we need to select a couple more. Who's someone that we can invest in? Who's someone that's a little bit lower on the card that we can maybe feel like that we could do something with? I don't know if there's anyone there. I don't really know. For the women, again, I'm not sure. Maybe we go with a Liv Morgan, someone who could be a star for us. I feel like that's the way to go. Well, let's go with Liv. Let's bring her in. So that just gives our women's roster a little bit stronger. And Raw's had enough. They're going to conserve their money. They've got plenty of money to play with. So I think that's probably a good idea. Usually when I've done some test drafts, I've spent all my money. If I'm not convinced on anyone here, then we probably should just save it. Let's save our cash. 139,000 to play with. We've managed to sign 15 wrestlers. That's not a lot when you think about it, but hopefully we'll be happy with that. So let's compare. We've got Lesnar, McIntyre, Becky Lynch, Rey Mysterio, Bayley, Kofi Kingston. Raw have got Randy Orton, Charlotte, Kevin Nash, Bianca Belair, Kevin Owens, Big E. It's pretty interesting. It's close. I don't know who really particularly won. I mean, we've got the biggest star in Lesnar. And I feel like we've done pretty well there. They've probably got some more women that are maybe a little bit better. But I like our potential. We've got Sami Zayn, Ciampa, Elias, Tyler Bate. That's pretty good. I like that. And they've got Ziggler, Riddle. That's pretty good as well. So I feel like it's pretty close. I'm going to give the edge to us. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below who won the draft. Doesn't really matter anyways, because what matters is what we do next. So tonight's the night, the big debut show. We have high hopes for you. I'll try not to let you down, Triple H. I will try my best. Now, selecting your champion. This is where it gets interesting. So, for our male champion, there's no tag team division, unfortunately. As far as I know, there's no tag team champions. There's no minor champions. It's just the world champion and the women's champion. That's it. So here's how you can play it. You got Lesnar, he's already got 68 popularity. Do you go all in on him and get him to 78? Because the male champion gets a plus 10 popularity boost, which is massive. Or do we go with Drew McIntyre or even a Rey Mysterio and have 2 guys around that same level of popularity and have 2 major stars rather than 1? I feel like that makes the most sense, right? So is it McIntyre or is it a Rey Mysterio? I feel like, the biggest star is probably going to be Drew McIntyre. But I've got a soft spot for Rey. I wouldn't mind seeing him carry the belt for a little bit to start off with. And we could have McIntyre and Lesnar feuding with some other guys and have Rey Mysterio, maybe Rey and Kofi Kingston one-on-one, or Rey and Sami Zayn. There's a lot of options there. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's give Rey Mysterio, one last title run and boost him up to 68. Now we have two guys with 68 popularity. For the women, well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you could have Rhea Ripley join the ranks as one of the top women. You got Bayley really go up there as well. I feel like with the women, Becky Lynch only has 60. If we really kind of go all in on her, she's got 70. She can kind of carry the division while we build the others around her. So we'll go in a different direction with that. We'll go all in on Becky and we'll try and build Bayley around her and maybe try and boost up Rhea Ripley, Mandy Rose and some others to be a factor as well as Becky Lynch. Okay, so now here we are. We're on the booking screen here so we can start booking our first show for the series. Let's have a quick little look. So we said earlier on, not every wrestler is available on the roster. Well, here's who else we can sign. So we have 139,000. Now, some you can sign permanently. For example, Dexter Lumis, we could bring him in permanently. Or, for example, Johnny Gargano, you could bring him in for 10 weeks for $57,000. So you can kind of weigh that up. Or you can sign some local wrestlers, and you can see they are dirt cheap. 10 weeks for Jive Owens, $2,800. Pretty cheap, and that's not a bad option. And as we said earlier on, I wouldn't mind signing one of these guys and try and make them a bit of a star. So we'll have to have a look at who's the best option out of that. But this is a pretty weak list of wrestlers that we can bring in. Scott Hall's obviously the best out of the lot. There isn't too much, and I believe this changes week to week to week. So we might leave it, unless we want to sign maybe a Jody Garcia. I feel like she looks like she could beat up someone. So yeah, Jody Garcia, she's got 1-star power. She's in the giant class. Apparently she's a giant wrestler. 73 stamina, 67 morale. She's got 2 out of 5 promo skill. Vicky McLeod, 1 promo. Stamina's a little bit better. She's a bruiser, so it doesn't really matter. I think all these guys should only have 1-star power. I can't imagine any of the local ones having much more. But yeah, let's go with Jody Garcia. That gives us another woman on the roster for dirt cheap, and we can push her. We can try and make her something. And then we might sign another wrestler in the coming weeks. In terms of legends, well, obviously you could bring in someone here. We could bring in The Rock and have him have a feud for 5 weeks. Maybe, if we want to do The Rock versus, Brock Lesnar, we could do that. We could have John Cena come in for a program, for a rivalry. This is what we can kind of utilize that for. We don't have a lot of money up our sleeve to kind of do this. For example, we could bring in Triple H right now. So I think the best thing for us at the moment is just focus on who we got, and then we'll start with that, and as time goes on, we'll try and improve our overall roster. Now, one thing we might do is we might utilize our 6 random superstars in our roster, getting a popularity increase by 6. Now, one thing I would suggest is do this straight away, because this means the wrestlers you've got on a permanent contract all get the benefit of this. Now, I probably shouldn't have signed the local talent straight away, but as I said, I wouldn't actually mind pushing her to become, maybe a lower tier wrestler for us, someone we can maybe get to 40 popularity and be a bit of a factor. So we're going to try and, boost the popularity of 6 wrestlers. So Rey Mysterio gets a boost, Jody Garcia, she did get it, Brock Lesnar got it, Sami Zayn gets it, McIntyre gets it, and Mandy Rose. So that's interesting. So obviously Jody Garcia getting it is not ideal, but everyone else, Lesnar becomes a bigger star. Mysterio, obviously, bigger star. So let's look at our roster now. Lesnar, 74. Mysterio, 74. That's massive. McIntyre got it, 68. So we got 3 top major stars. Sami Zayn's close now, 59. So that's a real benefit. And Mandy Rose, she now becomes, a better, overall talent for us. 49 pop as well. And Jody, well, look, she's going to be a jobber, but 19 pop, it's all right. For her price, she's worth nothing. Yeah, I don't mind it. So that's okay. And then it makes our life a little bit easier. We don't have to invest as much time to try and pushing her up the card. So that's our roster. So let's go ahead and book our first show. Okay, so we've booked our first show. Now, with this, you can only book singles matches or tag team matches. So it will get a little bit repetitive. You can only book 3 matches as of right now. So it'll be interesting to see if they make any changes to that or not. But as of right now, that's our options. So our opening match, we're going to do Kofi Kingston and Tyler Bate. So we're probably expecting Kofi to pick up a win here just to boost up his momentum and try and get him some popularity happening. We got Rey Mysterio and Sami Zayn. So this is going to be our WWE Championship match. So our Universal Championship match is going to be Mysterio and Sami Zayn. So we're going to start this rivalry by having Sami Zayn calling out Rey. This is the way we can try and elevate Sami Zayn, and obviously we can still keep Lesnar and McIntyre available for something else. Mid-card match, Liv Morgan, she's just going to get an easy win over Jody to try and boost up Liv. These two should match up pretty well, I think. We're going to turn Lesnar heel, so I realize we have a lot of baby faces in our main event, so we need someone to turn. Lesnar's obviously the most likely. That way we can do Rey Mysterio and Lesnar, McIntyre and Lesnar. It just makes no sense. In our main event, and this is the match we're going to focus on tonight, our commissioner goal. So every week you get a commissioner goal. So Triple H wants us to have one Extreme Rules match this week, and we get a reward. So any arena show logistic book this week will be free. So we get a free arena basically. So that will be next time. Basically, we can book a better arena, make more money off that arena for free. So it's worth trying to complete these goals. It's worth trying to get that because obviously you can get a lot of benefits out of it. So our show is booked. Let's jump into it. So our budget is $124,000. It's going to cost us $35,000 to run this show. Obviously because we have the Extreme Rules match, the Lesnar turning heel, and the call out. So it does cost money to do certain things. So that's why you need to keep a bit of money up your sleeve. So we'll confirm it. We'll jump into it. And we're going to simulate every match until we get to the main event. So Kofi Kingston, Tyler Bate. It is going to be Kofi Kingston picking up the win, which is good. We wanted that. It's a 1.5 star match, and it does start a potential rivalry between Kingston and Bate. So not ideal, but it's okay. Mysterio and Sami Zayn. It was an okay promo, and it does kick off their rivalry as well. So not a great match. So not a great segment by any means. Liv Morgan grabs the win, thank goodness, over Garcia. And 1.5 star match again, so not great. Lesnar turning to a heel is given an excellent rating. So now Lesnar's a heel, which is what we need. And we're going to have Becky Lynch and Mandy Rose. And this is our big main event match. Now, I believe we can only simulate it because we have a run-in. We're going to have Bayley run in and cost Becky Lynch the match. Alright, so our show is booked, and we've got Kofi Kingston and Tyler Bate one-on-one, and it is going to be a Kofi Kingston win. It is a 1.5 star rated match, not a great one. The Sami Zayn and Rey Mysterio promo was rated as okay, nothing special there. Liv Morgan, can she beat Jody Garcia? Yes, she can, thank goodness for that. 1.5 stars as well. Lesnar, his change to heel is given an excellent rating, and we're going to have Becky Lynch and Mandy Rose. So Bayley does the run-in, and she actually cost Becky Lynch the championship. Mandy Rose wins a 4-star rated match. And I tell you what, we've got a new champ already. So here's Raw's show. So they've got a pretty decent show. Let's have a quick look. They had Big E and Randy. They had Matt Riddle with a promo. They had Charlotte and Shayna taking on Nikki Ash and Bianca. Candice LeRae called out Toni Storm, and the main event was Nash and Devlin. So to compare the two, well, Raw had a 4.5 star rated opening match. So that Randy and Big E was a TLC match. It was awesome. They destroyed us. They destroyed our mid-card match, but our main event did get the upper hand in the end. The upset of a lifetime, Mandy Rose beating Becky Lynch for the belt. So it'll be interesting to see how we went. Obviously, Becky Lynch picks up a big loss here, and she's actually gone to 63 pop, and Mandy Rose has gone to 65. Unbelievable. Liv Morgan gained 3 pop. She's got 51 now. Garcia gained 5, so it might be pretty easy to gain popularity. Kingston's got to 57 now. Tyler Bate, 47. So, yeah, it looks like it won't be that difficult. So we had a D-rated show. Our match card quality was rated C. So we had an 83 rating score, which I don't feel like is very good. We gained 72,000 fans, so that's okay. And we gained $47,000 in the overall profit margin. So that's okay. And look, we even have social media trolls to tell us how crap our show was as well, which is always nice. The first one said, "Who the hell is Jody Garcia? Got a long way to go." And there you go. So it's interesting. Mandy Rose takes the belt. Wow, Becky Lynch is not going to be happy about that. I agree. So 171,000 budget. So we've got a little bit more money to spend next time. But we are ranked behind Raw. They had a much better show. They gained 89,000 fans and they gained only $37,000. So they spent a lot more money to get that quality show, but they are still beating us at the moment. And the feedback, Triple H said Bate versus Kingston, it's an okay matchup, rule breakers against each other, or to have a contest between fan favorites. Just be aware the audience will respond best to rule breakers against fan favorites. So they want baby faces versus heels. Damn it. You got to do that. So sometimes you have to put on matches that stray away from that formula, but remember this is a formula for a good reason. Becky Lynch, I'm not happy about losing my championship last week. As a former champion, I'm enacting my rematch clause. I want a championship match against Rose. Nobody else better get a title shot before me. Well, I will do that for you, Becky. I don't want to make her too upset. Good. Don't keep me waiting too long. I already miss wearing that gold around my waist, and that will increase Becky Lynch's morale. Thank goodness for that, because I would have thought she'd be pretty upset. We've unlocked some new logistics. We'll cover that next episode. But and you can see again already some different wrestlers we can sign as free agents. So we'll take a look at that next time as well. I feel like we probably need to bring in somebody else just to spice it up. Maybe it's got to be a legend. Maybe you try and bring in John Cena for 10 weeks or The Undertaker for 5. That would be fun. Batista, wouldn't mind seeing him come in as well. So we can have a think about it. But yeah, the upset of a lifetime. Mandy Rose is the new champion. I can't believe it. I didn't really want that to happen, but look, sometimes when it's a simulated match, it's out of your control. But the good news is that it's pretty easy to gain popularity. So we can certainly develop our roster pretty quickly. And I feel like, as long as we can get some wrestlers on the actual roster and gain enough money so we can fill it out a bit more, it should be pretty easy to kind of get things rolling. The only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is you can't access your rivalries. You can't manually set a rivalry, so you kind of have to have them wrestle each other or do a promo against each other. You can't start a rivalry manually, which is a little bit different. But and there's no tag team situation. It seems like it's pointless to even have any tag teams on the roster. I mean, it's disappointing. So there's certainly a few things about this game mode that isn't perfect. But I'm excited to play GM mode anyways. Any GM mode is better than nothing. So we'll be back with another episode of My GM Mode very soon as we follow the journey to make Smackdown the #1 brand.